Greetings of Christ, peace, and love. I'm Bishop Oscar Solis of the Diocese of Salt Lake City in Utah. We're happy and privileged to have one of our seminarians who's studying at Mount Angel Seminary. He's now there on his theology, or you call it the vocation synthesis stage, in the new PPF 6 or priesthood formation. And so I'm happy and delighted to introduce our seminarian, Jose Luis Gomez. Jose is from Mexico, and he came to the diocese at the time when I came here in 2017. And so I'm very happy to introduce our seminarian, Jose.
My name is Jose Luis Gomez. I'm from Mexico City. I was born there and I was raised. I studied law in Mexico, and I was working as a lawyer for 12 years at the government. Later I made my discernment and I decided to come to Utah and study for become a priest.
Wonderful, and I'm very happy and gratified and so pleased that you have made that decision. I'm a little bit conscious because, before a lawyer, I'm a little bit wary of my questions and the things to ask you. People would like to ask some of your insights and perspective about certain things, as a seminarian. Pope Francis has declared the Jubilee year, 2025. The theme is Pilgrims of Hope. He came up with a beautiful and very important, strong message, to a world suffering a lot of tribulations and challenges like violence, war going on, natural calamities that brought miseries to thousands and millions of people. We have what you call climate change, the polarization, in our country, family, in the world, and also the lingering effect of COVID-19. So the message of our Father is a wonderful message for people not to lose hope, but to aspire for the love of God, and for better times or a better world. And I would just like to ask yourself, in terms of from your own personal heart or perspective, what are the things that you see in this Jubilee year of hope? What are the things that you hope for personally, for our church, and for the world?
Personally, as the next Jubilee that we are going to celebrate in the church, I think that I need to feel myself as a pilgrim, to have my goal, that is God, Jesus. And for that, I need to have confidence in Him. How? In prayer, and to stay talking with Him. In this pilgrimage that I'm going to do with the church, I need to recognize myself, also that my weaknesses, also my strengths for this pilgrimage, because it's gonna be a spiritual journey for us. I need to prepare myself in prayer, but also doing works of mercy in my life. Not just to do something for the other, also stay with the other, hearing how they feel, how visiting the sick, visiting people in the jail, visiting people who needs to stay close to the others, who are suffering loneliness. And I think that the Lord is inviting me to stay with them and to show hope to them.
It's wonderful you mentioned about three things here, your prayer and focus on God. Because we have a culture that really denies and pushes away God in every component or every sector of our society and community. And it's good that you highlight, to have a focus on God. And you mentioned about being on a pilgrimage, like a pilgrim. When you're in a journey, you need to have a destination. And a lot of times people get lost because they don't know where they're going anyway.
Yeah.
And if you have a destination, most of the time they get distracted and get lured by other things instead of focusing on where you go and what you want to achieve. Second is that you mentioned about the idea of listening and talking to the people on your journey.
Yeah.
You know, you spoke about Pope Francis' synodality. The church is a synodal church where each one listens to one another. You know, we are not in a journey on our own. We journey as a community, as one body of Christ, the church.
Yeah, I
You know,
know.
it's very important to listen and to feel the needs of others. So, maybe reminded me also, Pope Francis, about the sin of the world, the greatest sin of the world is indifference. Indifference to the plight, to the cries of the poor and those who are suffering. You know, we have to be sensitive to those, to the needs of others. So, and the third, of course, is that when you put yourself in the context of being one with others, you know, we're living in a polarized and individualistic world, each to his own. So I am happy that you incorporated everyone in your faith journey, in your life here in this world. That's wonderful. The second point, another, is that we live in a time when we have role models. You know, people look up to basketball stars, you know, or football players and Hollywood personalities, you know. And in our church also, we have heroes that we look up to. We call them the saints. You know, have you ever had some saint in your life? And if you have, who is your patron saint? Who are those that really help you mold your life and inspire you to live and pursue your aspiration to become a priest?
The saying that inspired my life is Saint Joseph. I have in my name Jose. Is, and Saint Joseph, San Jose, is my patron. My father teach me how to be faithful also with San Jose. San Jose is inspiring me a lot because he's really faithful. He is hearing the voice of the Lord. He's over in prayer. He's working for the Holy Family. He stay watching what is the need for others too.
You know, it brought joy to me because my patron saint is Saint Joseph to myself. Because I grew up in a town called San Jose, you know, so I came to know. And I think it's so hard for a lawyer to have a patron saint like Saint Joseph because he never said a word in the Bible, you know that.
Yeah, he
You
never
know?
said a word.
But the beautiful thing about Saint Joseph is that the church came to know him more not in words but in action. Of what their special role in the plan of salvation when he accepted to become father, you know, accompanied Mary to bring Jesus into the world. And so it's a beautiful patron saint. And not only that, you know, Saint Joseph is a patron saint of workers as well. You know, it means that, you know, we are called to work. You know, God has gifted us all the capacities, the intelligence in order to become co-creator in his plan of salvation in this world. And what a beautiful dignity that God has given us, you know, to participate in his world of creation, you know. So, growing up, you know, have you encountered some challenges or difficulties that make you frustrated, disappointed, and sometimes not only lose hope, but question the love of God and your presence of God in your life?
Challenges. I think that God has been present in my life, but I think that the challenge that I found in myself is my whole humanity, no? Like I need to accept my strengths and I need to accept my weakness in my life. Also, in socially, I can see that some people don't wanna talk with each other. They want to stay apart. But we need to go with them. Yeah.
I'm glad that you're proactive when you experience that kind of challenges or doubts in your own life because, you know, we shouldn't be afraid to confront those difficulties, you know, moments that we feel down because even saints like Saint John of the Cross, Mother Teresa, you know, speak of the darkness of the soul, you know, and the only thing that they were able to go out, to be able to get over those challenges in life is when they found the light in Jesus. You know, the light of Christ that dispelled the darkness. You know, every darkness in our humanity, in our brokenness, He gives light to it. So I'm wonderful to have always that saints in our life. You know, now growing up, you know, I know that vocation and faith does not simply come like a magic. You know, it is affected by the conditions and environments in which we grow. Do you have some examples of faith that help you choose to becoming a priest?
One of my examples is my grandmother. She always was praying the rosary. She was attending mass every day. My mother and my father, they were with me to the church always, every Sunday. They accompany to me to the group of altar service,
Uh-huh.
the Basilica of Guadalupe in Mexico, and my brothers too, they pray a lot.
So it's wonderful to see that family was important and a significant environment that shaped, your mind and your heart in order to become a priest someday. And it's wonderful to see the value of the church being a domestic church, where you encounter the presence of God, you experience the love of God, and you learn how to love others through your own relationship with your family, especially with your grandma. Now I would like to come a little deeper in your own personal life, and I want you to take the robe that you wear when you are in the court, and make yourself present to the world. Personally, why did you choose to become a priest? What made you decide to become a priest?
When I was working as a lawyer, I was in relation with many people in a different status. But one day I was working with indigenous people, with immigrants, with people who suffer a lot. And I was working for the people who was in jail. But one day, the inspiration of God comes to my life, and why not priest? Why not find freedom in the spiritual way for them? Why you can put this hope for these people who is suffering in the daily life. The inspiration was like, I want to save souls, and I want to be an instrument for that. Yeah. And to bring the mercy of God to all of them.
You said something very special of what it means to be a priest, because when you're a priest, you give your life to God and to the people that God has entrusted to be your flock, And remember what Jesus said. He came into the world not to observe, but to serve. To give yourself as ransom, to give your life as ransom for many. And it is a wonderful thing for people to know what a priest stands before them. A servant, a humble servant of God, a shepherd who always had the interest of his sheep more than of his own self. It's very important to have that. And lastly, I want you to have the appetite of the people to follow you and to get to know you more as you continue in years of formation. I think you're counting a year or 2 more, 3 years perhaps.
1 year.
1 year, holy smoke! Now I'm so happy to have another priest getting ordained for our diocese. Now, is there any things that you would like to share to our listeners and people who watch us to get to know more about you and how to follow you?
Yeah. You see me around the Salt Lake City in another churches. Say hi to me, reach out with me. I like to watch movies. I like to have a good conversations. I like 80s music. I like to go hiking. When I stay here in Salt Lake, try to go to the mountains to walk. Yeah.
What a great joy and delight actually to have our seminarians with us. The seminarians speak of the future, the strong future of our local church in the Diocese of Salt Lake City. And we value and enjoy their presence. And from what you heard, We have great men. We have great men, and I would like to ask the people of God in the Diocese of Salt Lake City to pray for our seminarians. Pray for more vocations to the priesthood. We need more priests. There's no such thing as a crisis in vocation. There's no such thing as vocation crisis. But there are many vocations, and they're in your own homes. And our future priests are your own children, your own grandchildren, your nephews. So I ask you to plant the seed of vocation to our young children, to our teenagers, to young adults. Open their minds to the wonderful gift of vocation, the calling to love God, to offer our lives for the service of God and for the service of the people that He will be entrusting to our care. Thank you for listening, and God bless you all.